Hello, everyone, and welcome to another live episode of Stoke Hunters, the podcast where we dive into the heart of adventure and the stories of those who dare to chase it. Tonight, we have a truly special guest, Ryan Lachapelle. I butchered that, but that's how every last name goes, so I don't know why I usually try. The dynamic force behind the Team Giver Foundation, a tribute to his best friend Kenneth McAlpine's inspiring legacy. Ryan, a seasoned skier and coach with a passion for the outdoors, has harnessed the power of friendship and strategy to fuel a mission that supports youth in chasing their dreams. From thrilling races across Canada to empowering the next generation of adventurers, Ryan's journey is a testament to the impact of living fully and giving generously. So grab your gear and let's dive into the story of adventure, legacy, and the unstoppable spirit of giving. Welcome, Ryan, and thank you for joining us tonight on Stoke Hunters.
Thank you, Jared. I'm grateful to be here tonight. It's awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. It's been a lot of fun. I never thought I'd be a podcaster, but I got invited to be on one. I think in November, my friend Mia from the Women's Mountain Bike Network was like, "Oh, you should be on my friend's podcast. He interviews people who are doing kind of cool things." And then I was like, "Oh, this was fun." Because it's just a conversation of like 2 hours of stuff. And then I'm like, went on some more, and then I'm like, "Oh, what if I build a podcast where I can have people with way cooler stories than me on it?" And yeah, that's where we've come to now.
Totally. Well, yeah, I'm stoked to be on it, man. And yeah, it's been a while for me. I was on one, I think 3 years ago, but yeah, stoked to be back and stoked to share some of my insight and obviously my story as well. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. So what we've kind of started doing is having guests of the past ask guests of the future a question right off the bat. So we had Taylor McGiddy. She's a rad snowmobiler out of Edmonton. And her question for you is, what is your inspiration that has you chase good days?
It's just, I mean, I think it's really just the feeling, and it's just like experiencing it with whoever you're with. You know, I've always been into sports myself and a lot of action sports. And, you know, I think when I'm doing those things and having those, you know, amazing, memorable days, it's just all about living in the moment for me. And, you know, I can be trapped in my head a lot of the time, but like when I'm out there, you know, having a good day and embracing it with friends, then that's what keeps you coming back and keeps you wanting to do more and wanting to keep on adventuring and, you know, just getting out there. So yeah, it's just the feeling, you know, the feeling you get and kind of diving into that flow state. It's addicting, and that's what life's all about. So you just gotta keep chasing after it. Yeah.
100%. And I find a lot of people, unfortunately, learn to chase it a little later in their lives rather than early. I don't know if it's a societal thing or, you know, we're just a little selfish or we don't understand intention when we're growing up. But
yeah,
I always find it interesting when, you know, people have the Stoke later on, but I find it hard to find people sometimes with Stoke early on. And
totally. Yeah. And it's all about sharing that Stoke too, right? Like, I mean, you know, just having like-minded people that want to share those experiences with you. And yeah, it's just full circle, right? It's just like, you know, it's just sometimes it's tough getting up and, you know, moving and getting out there, but you just got to do it. You got to force yourself out there, and you know, once you do it, at the end of the day, you're generally pretty stoked. So
yeah. So I know with Fernie they have rope drops, and it gets about 200 people who, like, as soon as it drops, if you woo, the whole mountain woos. Does Red have similar stuff to that sometimes? Like if you woo, you'll get other people wooing in the trees or in the powder?
Well, I'm a big wooer, that's for sure. It's funny, like it's funny, you know, I got friends that are wooers and friends that, you know, absolutely shred and don't say a single word. They're just quiet as can be. shredding down, but I'm definitely a guy that definitely like lets out my energy fully, and you could hear it in my GoPro clips for sure. But the funny thing is at Red, we don't really have rope drops, which is one of the best things about Red. Once that upper chairlift cracks open, it's game on. Pretty much like you can go anywhere on the mountain and pretty much ski anywhere. So I've been at some of the rope drops, like for opening day at Revelstoke. We go to Revelstoke for every year for opening day. It's been like 8 years in a row now. But that was the last rope drop I had, and it was just classic. They just like patroller just like threw down the bamboo, and there's just like 100, 200 people just boom beelining across the traverse for North Pole. And but yeah, they're fun, but I'm glad we don't have them at Red, because it's like as soon as you get on that lift, you can pretty much just kind of go to any zone you want.
Yeah, red and whitewater are kind of those, for people who are listening, are those two secrets that people who don't know them, like my two favorite hills in BC for sure.
No, it's a special place, that's for sure. Yeah.
I remember that commercial they made a few years back where it was that guy who was skiing in the business suit, and he's like, "Oh, too much trees, too much sun, or whatever." It's like, "Don't come here," or whatever.
Yeah, totally. Red's most viral video. Red sucks. It's great. I got a sticker on the back of my helmet that said Red. That says Red still sucks. I love it. Great.
Reminds me of the sticker I had growing up. That said, "Why is it called tourist season if we can't shoot them?"
Yeah.
But a little bit more on tonight's story of Team Giver and everything. Could you share the origin story of Team Giver, the foundation, and then its mission and everything?
Absolutely, man. I mean, yeah, Giver started, way back in the day. My first recollection of like saying Giver was me and my buddy, and the website doesn't exist anymore, but me and my buddy made a website when we were 13 years old. We were in grade 8, and it was called chrisandryan.pixo.com. And it was classic. But there was one of the pages is favorite quotes, and sure enough, like under my name, the first thing was Giver, like exactly how I spell it, like on my hoodie here. And I was like, damn, I didn't even know I was saying Giver like when I was that young. And then yeah, it really kind of took off for me when I moved to Banff when I was 18, because I'm from Ontario, like from Collingwood, Ontario. I moved to Banff. That was my first year out west working at Sunshine Village. And my whole crew, there was a lot of like foreigners from, wherever, Australia, New Zealand, Europe. And once they were skiing with me, they just caught on to it. Like I would just yell it out, because I mean, I don't know, it's Giver, jump off the cliff or do it, like whatever, just Giver. And then they just like were like, whoa, what's that? And I'm like, well, what do you mean? It's Giver. Like, it's just go for it. Like, Giver, have fun. And then they started saying it. And then from there, I don't know, it just was like, it was just like, oh, they're into it. They like, they just gain something from it. They just see like the positivity out of it and the good vibes that come from just like this word, this phrase. And then, I don't know. I just would use it kind of all the time. And then, Team Giver came to be like, my best friend Kenneth, I met him when we were 14 years old, our first year of high school. And we knew each other like in Collingwood. We went to different public schools before high school. We hung out with different crews, and we were the only two rollerbladers in Collingwood that did like the freestyle rollerblading, like grind the rails and like do the jumps and all that. But we didn't like each other. We didn't talk to each other. We kind of just were like in our own crews, but we were literally the only two people in town. And then once we went to high school, we had a class together, and we started chatting, and he skied as well. And it was just like, and then we just instantly became best friends. I was like, wow, this guy's unreal. Like, this guy's so nice. And we do the same activities, and like, why aren't we hanging out? And then it was like, so yeah, we just kind of instantly became best buds. And then yeah, kind of fast forward, a bunch of years. Our dream was always to live out west in the mountains, and like I said, my first year was in Banff. He went off to culinary arts school in Ottawa, and then after a couple years, we kind of made that dream come true together and lived in Revelstoke, and yeah, it's and then just kind of fell in love with the mountains together and all that jazz. And then yeah, I moved to Red after a number of years, and then Kenneth moved out here during my second year. And when he moved out, I remember him walking in, and I don't even know why I was thinking about it, but I pretty much said to him, "Hey man, do you want to apply for the Amazing Race Canada? Like, I think it'd be sweet." Like, he's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Dude, you can just go on this TV show. It looks super fun. Travel around the world, do all these fun challenges." And then he was down, and then sure enough, I don't even think we really even talked about it, but in our audition video, we just called ourselves Team Giver, just randomly. I don't even think we had it planned, but it was just like at the very end, I was just kind of like, yeah, because we're Team Giver. And then from there, it's we were on the race, and then we were known as Team Giver. So that's kind of, it's a long story, but that's kind of where it all came to be, I guess you could say.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I know I probably should have Googled this, but how did you guys do in the race itself?
We ended up coming second in the race. Yeah.
So here's a question for you. And I've talked, like, I grew up playing hockey and stuff like that, and I've always, like, would you rather get second or get third? I mean, like, this is a little different because it's like a race, but like, in the tournaments where it's like, third place is a win, whereas second place is a loss to first, I'm like, yeah. I don't know what is better.
I feel you, man. I mean, I used to play hockey and baseball when I was a kid, and still play those sports. And it's funny you say that, because like third would always be like, what's the term? Like the consolation or whatever it was, right? Because there'd be the consolation match, and then like, I don't know, man. I would still rather, yeah, be second. Be second, yeah, be the runners up for sure. Yeah,
that's fair. And now that you've built the foundation to remember Kenneth, what would you say your kind of like three main core values, or like, if there's four, or however many there are, of the foundation?
Yeah, well, I guess, like the foundation came to be, it was obviously a process, right? Because we were on the race in 2017. And then we lost Kenneth in 2019. He died doing what he loved. He was hiking in the mountains, and he died on his birthday as well, in a iconic place in the Valhalla mountain range on Mount Gimli. And I mean, obviously it was just a super heavy process, and it still is. And for that next year, I was very lost, very, I just lost easily the closest person in my life, hands down. And especially just, experiencing one of the biggest moments of our life, being on the race. And it wasn't just being on the race. It was like, being in our hometown and having these viewing parties every week, and having hundreds of people out to support us and watch the episodes and all these different venues. And what we really found from that, or what we really got from that especially, was like how much the youth got out of it. The kids really got behind us, I think, is just from our energy and from, just this special relationship, this special synergy that Kenneth and I shared that it's, I deeply miss, obviously, and it'll never be replaced. But we had something very special, and the youth, the kids really, they lit up, they wanted to be a part of Team Giver. They wanted to be a part of our energy, right away. We started making Team Giver shirts. All the kids were wearing them. We making Giver stickers. Like, it was a big thing. And then, furthermore, we were started to do motivational speeches in schools. We did all like 12, however many schools back home, and went in there and talked about our experience, talked about Giver and really the meaning and how it's our life motto and all this stuff. And the whole experience was just, it was just unbelievable. And, when Kenneth passed, it was just, I don't even know what to say. Like, it was just heartbreaking. We were still living this experience. We were kind of building out our own TV show with this big production company. Like, we were still on this like crazy up,
Yeah.
And then after a year, it was really a conversation that kind of got the idea of the foundation going. And I was sitting in Kenneth's backyard like we did as kids all the time. And I was just sitting back there with his mom and his younger brother, Daniel, around a fire. And we were just talking and grieving and just telling stories of being with Kenneth and all that. And his mom, Kathy, said one thing to me, and it hit me so hard. I'm getting shivers even thinking about it. She said, "Ryan, whatever you do, you gotta keep Team Giver going." And I get emotional even thinking about it, but it hit me, man. And it's just like, yeah, I got to keep it going. So, starting up this foundation and is my way of keeping his legacy alive, keeping what we had and that connection and just the overall vibe and the Stoke of involving the youth and just everyone around us to keep it going. And that's kind of was my decision to start the foundation in honor of Kenneth McAlpine.
Man, there's lots of stuff there that sparks me, but and I have ADD, so it's usually the last thing that is like sitting top of focus. But when when his mom told you, you have to keep this thing alive, the thing that I kind of like, as soon as my mom passed away, I think it was like 2 days later, I was building a brand and like kind of like processing this. And I think the one thing that kind of, now that I look back on it, is having that allowed me to have the process of working on something, but didn't have to make me fully think about, what had just happened. And do you think that that kind of happened when you're doing it?
I think so. Like when I decided to start up the foundation, it was like, it was just something, obviously it was a way to honor Kenneth. And, we received, funds from a lot of family and friends to have a memorial piece, back home in Collingwood and here in Rossland. And for the first few years, it was just a way to kind of think of like, Kenneth was the most caring person I ever met in my life. And he really brought, the meaning of giver, and not just to give it all you got and to go for it, but he really brought give back into the meaning of giver. And he expressed that on a daily basis. So it was my way to kind of just start off by just kind of giving back to our local youth and to, a way to support them to fulfill their passions, right? And yeah, but at the start it was, I was still working like full time at Red Mountain and, full on in the ski industry, but I would do it on the side and just kind of, it would just feel good. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, kind of like not a distraction because you're working on something that's to remember the person, but it's like it kind of I find when like and it's like kind of how people do things or like continue to keep themselves busy so they don't have to think. It's kind of like that. It's like you're building something and your brain doesn't go into all the tangents. It's like kind of focused on processing it a little bit more in the straight line rather than like the these or however.
Totally. And,
um,
and for me, it was just like, like we met through skiing and through our passions, right? And I
mhm,
just wanted to give that experience to the youth as well. Like after that whole year of kind of just like starting to process what had actually happened, was
mhm.
like, why was our relationship, why was our friendship so special? Well, you know, yeah, we lived through our passions and we just wanted to chase the next best thing. And it was just, and then I just was like, well, I want other kids to do this. I want other kids to have the opportunity to do this, kids that are in need. So yeah, that's kind of
Well,
where it started. Yeah.
and the weird thing about giving back, like, I mean, maybe it's not weird. It's just like I find it interesting because, like, when you put your energy out there and you help people,
Mm.
it's like you just get the best feeling in your heart. You like it makes you feel good just doing it. And then for some strange reason, when you build stuff, it like the power just like positively allows it to grow even further and like bigger. Like it's weird. I think it's like karma's way of like telling you you're on the right path of like don't focus about monetary things. Don't focus about this. Just focus on helping other people, and then like
Yeah.
someone
Yeah,
will.
exactly. It just felt right. It just felt right. And yeah, it was just like, it was, I kind of thought initially this could like become something eventually, but that wasn't really where my head was at. Was like, okay, like I want to start this in honor of Kenneth. There's no rush in creating anything here, but um, this is what I want to do for my best friend, and
Mm-hmm.
and this is my way of honoring him, and this is to give this opportunity to other people. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then now that you've built something to remember your best friend, looking like kind of now versus looking back, would you like now when I work on my company, I kind of feel like I'm working with my mom or working with the people I've named our products after. Do you feel that same like like Kenneth is here with you as you continue to build it forward?
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty crazy, man. It's yeah, just with I do feel that. I do feel that. And it's like, especially creating the Free Ride Club, our youth competitive free ski team. It's that was a big like hit to me. And just seeing these kids, we have over 30 kids on our team, and just how they interact with each other, and just meeting each other and bonding and just having the time of their lives. Really, it just brings me back to my childhood and my experiences with Kenneth. And he was the guy I skied with. I had other best friends that I'd ski with on a regular basis, my buddy Chris and and others. But it was just, it would just, especially forming this ski team, it would really bring me back to just those fond childhood memories that I'll never forget. So
Yeah. And how long has the ski team been part of the foundation? Has it been there since day one, or?
no, this is the very first winter. Yeah, no, this is we started up the foundation in 2020, and really over this last spring and summer, just you know made a tough decision and decided to to run this nonprofit, this organization year round. And a big part of that was deciding to create, this ski team and incorporating it into the organization. And so yeah, this is our first ski season. Yeah.
Have you with the kids ripping and everything? Have you started to see maybe like like you and Kenneth as like not kids, but like like have you seen like two kids or whatever like kind of like really show up as like making you remember some?
Oh yeah, I mean there's multiple kids. There's like there's like there's lots of I could see lots of best buddies and even just groups of them in general, right?
Yeah.
That have that connection, and it's pretty amazing for sure. Yeah.
And then you've had quite a diverse journey from competitive skiing to coaching, being in multiple cities. How have you seen these experiences shape your approach to Team Giver?
Yeah, well, it's yeah, I mean, I've always been, skiing's been at the forefront of my life. Like, it's the biggest thing in my life. It's why I live out here. It's why I've bounced around from multiple ski towns, from Banff to Nelson to Revelstoke to Castle Mountain. Now here at Red, it's really been, a huge part of my life, and it's just goes back to just having a deep passion for skiing in general, and just the community, the community behind it. But sorry, what was your question again, Jared?
Just how you saw your diversity of skiing, coaching, and then leading everything to shaping your approach to Team Giver and everything that you do on a day-to-day now.
Right. And it was just, all those experiences. It's just like, it kind of goes back to your brand too. It's like a good day, right? It's just like all those experiences, all those different ski towns I lived in, and living in Australia. I mean, Kenneth lived in Australia for a year together and learned how to surf there. And that's one of my biggest passions in life too. And I've always been a huge advocate of following your passions and making that like paramount in your life. It doesn't have to be skiing, it doesn't have to be surfing. It could be whatever. It could be, like drawing pictures, or like, playing Frisbee, or like, hanging out with your dog, whatever it may be. It's just, it's just, you gain so much from following your passions, and it grows you as a person as well, right? And skiing has just brought so much to my life, community and growth and decision making. When we're out there in the mountains, a lot of the stuff we do, a lot of people would consider it being extremely dangerous. So, we're out there making calculated decisions. We're out there making big decisions. And a lot of the time you're doing that with your friends, and it's there's a lot that goes into it, and just the healthy, active lifestyle around skiing, and just embracing nature and being in the mountains and just everything around it. And, like, it's brought so much into my life, and really when I thought about creating this team and really saw the need of a new youth competitive free ski team here in Rossland, I thought about all these things, like, what are the kids going to get out of this? Like, and all those things I mentioned, like, those were continuing to circle in my brain. It's like friendship, health, promoting a healthy, active lifestyle, mindset, like, all these things, and just embracing your backyard, being grateful you're from Rosslyn and we have this, so it was just all those things. That's life to me, man. That's the essence of life. So we really, when I decided to create the team, I was thinking about all these things, and I'm like, okay, this is what the kids are going to gain from this, So, yeah.
After hearing you guys lived in Australia too, I think it would probably be easier to ask you things that you haven't done rather than things that you have done. Because it's like, Amazing Race, skiing, coaching, living in a whole other. You definitely have had a life that's full of experiences more at such a younger age than I think a lot of people do when they are 70 to 80.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I don't know, man. I just been always like just so focused on seeing the world and experiencing it, and being like immersing myself in different cultures and all this stuff. I guess I didn't, I just kind of took my own route, and just kind of like was kind of focused on experiencing more than anything, and following my passions more than anything. So I don't know. That's just been my journey, kind of thing.
Well, and I think we'd probably have a lot less issues in the world if we started to experience different things and experience other people's ways of life, and like all the different things that they do, and kind of live in people's shoes rather than just being the opposite of like, oh no, you're doing it this way and you're doing it this way.
Oh, totally, man. I mean, and that's what traveling does for you, right? Like, you go to Southeast Asia or Central America, and you get immersed into these, second, third world countries, and you see firsthand at, these people's lifestyles and their living conditions and everything, but then you see like how genuinely happy they are, and without really not having really much, and then I don't know, you come back to your life, and your regular day to day, and you're like, wow, become a little more appreciative, a little more grateful for what you got here in the
well, yeah, it's wild. Like people live in huts with no electricity and maybe have like a little bit of food and work 14 hours a day, and they're happy, like you said. And then you come over here and there's a guy or there's the families in like multi-million-dollar homes with their Audis and their Beamers and whatnot, and like they're so unhappy, and it's just wild, kind of what sometimes you see in North America versus the rest of the world.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yeah. And I think it has a lot to do with, a sense of community and just being together, I mean, in this day and age, it's we're pretty disconnected, man. We're pretty disconnected, and we're we're attached to these things 24/7. I'm not saying I'm not, but it's I think a lot of people in those places they get the how significant it is to spend that quality time with other people. Yeah.
Well, and I think when you look at a lot of the second and third world countries, the one thing that always seems to be a strong foundation, it seems, is like family and togetherness. And it's like, I think when I look at family, it's probably, at least having a few suppers once a week and having those conversations. So it'd be interesting to see whether or not people in other countries talk more about their feelings or not, or talk more about their hardships versus North America. And that potentially leads to happiness more so.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I wonder the same, it's, I feel like, it's, loneliness. I don't know. This is a whole other topic, but loneliness is, I feel like it's becoming, more, apparent, I guess you could say. And I think it has a lot to do with just technology and us being so tuned into our devices in general. So,
yeah. Well, when you're on an Instagram, when you're on a screen, you don't have to have, like, you send a conversation, you send a comment, you might not have those feelings of awkwardness sometimes all the time on a social media platform. So I think that leads to, skills not being developed or being comfortable with being uncomfortable. So then it, we're creatures of community and creatures of togetherness. So it's like, if you're not getting together and you're not getting it, like that side of it, it's like, yeah, the loneliness can just get you really easy.
Totally. Absolutely, man. Yeah.
When you're talking back a little bit, you were talking about like following your passion and everything. Where did you pick that up, would you say?
Yeah. It was always like chase your dreams, follow your passions. That was kind of our, I don't know, it's kind of like our taglines, Kenneth and I. And I don't know, like we expressed that quite a bit, like especially after the race, talking to the kids and stuff. And I think it was just stemmed from, like yeah, just like, being together and whether we were skiing or surfing or mountain biking, it was just, when we were living through our passions and experiencing that together, those were like the best times of our lives. So it was like we kind of wanted to radiate that to the youth, to be like, hey, if you love whatever you love doing, keep doing that. And if you find someone else that loves the same thing, well, do it with them, because those are going to be the memories that are going to be etched into your mind. It's like, it's yeah, just kind of like, just coming back to Giver too, is just like, yeah, follow your dreams, chase your passions, like Giver, go for it, like truly, like, if you love doing whatever that is, just do it.
Yeah.
And
so
do it regularly. Yeah.
More so it was learned over time rather than one person, like, pushing you to move out to Banff for like more so like family rather than Kenneth, who, you guys have the similar passion. So you're like, yeah, let's just go do it.
Yeah. And it's hard too, though, right? Like I follow my passions. I live out here and I can't be anywhere else. But at the same time, it's not easy, man. Like, it's like my family is 4,000 kilometers away in Ontario. I'm very close to my family. My brother, my sister, my parents, like, I love my family, and I really wish I could see them more. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to kind of do my own thing and really run my own organization, so I can have the time to, travel back there more and see them. So, it's yeah. Follow your passions. It's not always easy, right? Life ain't easy. So it's like, there's it's obviously, yeah, there's going to be tough times along the way, and just kind of figuring things out. But yeah, in general, it's just, you got to do it.
Well, and, we've talked about community and how it's played such a big role in your foundation's work. And, it lives half in Collingwood, half in Roslyn. Probably makes it a bit easier now to get back and see your family while also building the foundation up there too.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And that's very important for us too, right? Like, we support youth that are in our local communities, right? Both here and back home. And it's just really all about the connection, obviously, the connection that friends and family had with Kenneth back home and here in Rossland, and the support that we've received from those communities. Like, when we were on the race, the amount of support and everything was paramount for us. And obviously we live here, we live and we breathe here, and we embrace what we have locally. So it just makes sense that we want to give back to our youth that live in the communities that we spend our lives in, right? So, maybe we will eventually expand, but it just makes sense to do the work in the places that we spend the most time, obviously. Yeah.
100%. And yeah, I think, a lot of the grassroots and, being very community focused just helps build stronger connections and more Stoke.
Absolutely, man.
With the sound.
I was just going to say, and like, just, people and other businesses partnering with us and supporting our causes and our programs that we run through the foundation and stuff like that. It's, they believe in that and we feel that, and, they want to be a part of it. And obviously we're so grateful for that. So, yeah, it's just, involving the people that are in your place. It just makes sense.
Well, and it's kind of sparked something, because like a lot of people, when I bring them on the podcast, or I've been on other people's podcasts, they're like, "Oh, what you're building is," and you've probably had this too, of like, you building a foundation that helps others. People like, "Man, you're so amazing! Like, what you're doing is totally crazy." And I always say, well, I'm no different than anyone else. It's, you just kind of learn to create something. But what's kind of cool about yours with your foundation is you've kind of created a channel where people who might not have any idea how to help or do something cool can come take part in it. So it's like you kind of built them a mechanism to give.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's it, man. Yeah, like just, to give and yeah, and to receive, helping out those people that need the help to do what they want to do, right? So yeah, just giving them the opportunity and and sometimes the financial needs to do those things.
Yeah. Speaking of partnerships, what kind of supportive partnerships have been pivotal in building the foundation?
Yeah, I mean, with building out the ski team, it's been huge. The amount of community support that we've received. There's some local businesses here and other nonprofits that have really helped us out. Seven Summits Learning Center here. We use their space quite a bit to have mental skills sessions with our team, and they just donate that space to us. It's like a full classroom with all your AV set up and stuff like that. And they've been so kind. We've had lots of mental skills sessions in there. We have a workbook that we work through, and they've been amazing to us. Red Mountain Academy is a nonprofit that athletes join to move to Rossland, to immerse ourselves in the community, and to either join our free ride club or the race team and train, multiple days a week here at Red, because our ski hill's 5 minutes down the road. They've been huge in helping us just get this foundation off the ground and help out, with our dryland training program and stuff like that. Yeah, it's just, it's a lot, connection with Faction Skis, buddy I used to work with at Red Mountain. He's got the whole team hooked up with amazing deals for the athletes with skis. The North Face, even though they're, not centered right here in Rossland, they've been a huge partner for us, and believing in what we're doing and what we're trying to build here. So, yeah, there's lots, man. And just the local businesses in general, we obviously have to run fundraising events to make this thing happen and to continue having, the financial aid to do this. And the local support is unbelievable. I mean, we run events and virtually everybody we ask for donations is open arms. So it's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah. And then back home, man, it's like, it's crazy. You know, we work with our high school. We give a commencement awards every year. And the support that we receive from our local businesses, especially, you know, running our big fundraising event, Kenneth Walk, is unbelievable, man. It's just unreal. So, yeah, we feel the love from a lot of people, man, for sure.
Yeah. And, you know, you guys are going on to year 4 now. How do you envision the foundation's role evolving within these communities in the next few years?
Yeah, great question, man. Well, here, I mean, I'm obviously focused on, you know, building out our ski team and seeing where we can take that. You know, there's already ideas for next year on how to build it out, and really, you know, thinking of bigger picture things like, you know, is there going to be a cap to this team eventually? Are we going to have over 100 athletes? Like, you really got to think of these things, right? Because a lot of the time, people will build out a business and they'll get to a certain point and they'll be like, whoa, like, I don't know, maybe we've blown this out too much. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I think about a lot of things in my head, clearly, but building out a ski team. And then, you know, I'm already looking at this summer, maybe even starting up a mountain bike, competitive mountain bike team as well, because, you know, it's a big part of our foundation with our Giver Grant program. We have a mountain bike Giver Grant program. So we have, you know, grants to support youth that are looking to take that to the next level, like those passions to the next level. So, and that's, you know, a huge thing here in Rawson. It's like the most popular thing to do. There's mountain bike trails everywhere, but, you know, and there's kids here that are really, really good bikers, man. You know? Well, so it's just like, if I see a need for something and I'm kind of like, well, Team Giver, like, I mean, maybe we should start this up. So
just Giver, I can do it.
exploring that a bit now. And, you know, there's been legendary bikers that have come from this town too. Mike Hopkins has been a pro athlete his whole life. And you know, Dane Tudor, he's one of our coaches and been a pro skier and biker and snowmobiler and everything for a number of years. Lots and lots of people. And Bodie Kuhn he just moved out of town, but he's like one of the top junior mountain bikers in the world right now. So it's just, we have this environment. And, you know, so many people embrace what we have here. And it's just like, okay, now there's an outlet for those kids, those youth that love skiing, want to get better, want to ski a lot, and, you know, want to compete. We got a team for you. And it's like, okay, now we're kind of thinking of the summer ideas now. So,
yeah. And speaking of, like, you know, taking advantage and like exemplifying what your town has to offer, you know, with giving back has been, you know, such a big portion of it. And, you know, that was one of Kenneth's passions. Can you share a story that exemplifies his spirit of generosity and how it influenced your direction?
Totally. And I just wanted to highlight there too, like, I talked a lot about Rossland here, but, you know, back home in Collingwood too, you know, constantly thinking of ways, like, we obviously support youth in our Giver Grant programs and our commencement awards back at our old high school, CCI, and stuff like that. So there's a whole other culinary aspect to the foundation that we're kind of looking to build up as well. So just continuously thinking of ways that we can, you know, create and establish programs back there to kind of balance it out a bit. But Yeah, with Kenny, it's I can't think of like one specific thing off the top of my head, but man,
Mhm.
the guy could just his patience and how engaged he was in just in conversations was just truly heartwarming. Like
Mhm.
when I think of him and his beautiful, like, uh, the way he cared for people, and he really, um, he really put others first, and everyone would feel that. Even just having a conversation, it would just be so in tune and so engaged and such a good listener and interpreter, that it just made you feel good. It made you feel
Mhm.
comfortable, and that's one of the biggest things that I miss about having him around was just you could just go to the guy to ask anything and to get advice on anything. And for me, I wear my emotions on my sleeve. I like to speak out about things, and to not have that right hand man in my corner to express that to, it hurts. But that's what he gave to a lot of people for sure. Yeah.
Mhm. And we don't understand life in general, like everything and like big picture of like what happens after and this and that. But the one common theme I've usually come across is these feelings or these signs or whichever. Do you ever now just like talk out to something that reminds you of Kenneth and then hope that, like, have you ever seen anything come back on like a deep question or anything like that sometimes?
Um, yeah, I think for me more than anything, it's just I don't know. I think it's just like there's moments where I feel like he's with me or he's
Yeah.
listening. You know what I mean? It's just yeah, those kind of feelings. Um, he was a very spiritual man, and I think my spirituality has grown, especially in the last couple years, um, and just in general, just being grateful for more things in my life. But there's certain moments in my life where it's just like I don't know. I just feel like he's there or something, and he's
Yeah.
watching over me, kind of thing, right? So
Yeah.
I don't know if that answered the question, but like,
Yeah.
yeah, it's and it's usually those times in the mountains when there's not many people around. There's some peace and quiet, and then something happens, like a
Yeah.
hawk flies by, or something like that. So yeah,
Yeah. What?
I really I feel like that's a sign. That's something. So
Yeah. I heard it from one of the Broncos athletes from the tragic accident.
right.
Is birds was his thing, like seeing
Yeah,
ravens and everything. Like I think it was like his one of his billet brothers who passed away. There was this one bird that would always sit on his house and like razz him. Um, and then his mom pointed out, it's like, yeah, that's your billet brother razzing you. And then it kind of clicked, and it was like, yeah. And then now he sees them, or like when something's bad, it's like a bird flies over, and it's like, yeah,
totally. And for me, it's rainbows. It's
yeah,
rainbows, and for Kenneth's mom, it's hummingbirds. It's hummingbirds. And there's been some crazy scenarios where, for instance, our first Kenneth's walk we did, this was 4 years ago. Crazy day. Like it was like mid-October. We're on this like nature hike with all these food and beverage sampling stations along the way. And every kind of weather that you can experience came during our event, from rain to hail to heavy winds to, you know, and then, at the very end, the sun kind of peeking out. And as soon as we finished our walk, boom, there's this rainbow that just appears out of nowhere over Georgian Bay. And I'm like, Like, it's just, and I've had that experience numerous times. But for me, the rainbows tell me that Kenneth's watching. And I also had one experience that was very memorable with my good buddy Jeff Holden, that I worked with for a number of years in free skiing competitions, us running the events together. And we would we'd usually always go out to Mount Roberts, one of our local mountains that we can ski tour out pretty quickly. And we would usually do it at the end of the day, and the ski hill was closing, everybody would kind of be gone, and we're just me and him at the top of the mountain. We kind of do a bit of a prayer up there and kind of give our thanks, and dead quiet, nobody around. And sure enough, out of nowhere, boom, just these two ravens just come and are just flying over us. And he lost one of his best friends, Brett, to a skiing accident back in the day. And as soon as that happened, it was just like, man, I looked at Jeff, I said, dude, that's Kenneth and Brett, man. It's yeah. So those moments, man, they make you they hit you.
They make you feel good and appreciate things.
Absolutely. They really do. Absolutely.
Yeah, it's weird how it is, like, because like it's like, to someone else it's like it's two birds, but to people who have experienced those losses or had those hardships, it's like it's those little things that, like,
totally.
Because there's always lots of like little things that feel kind of like, different or not weird, but like, that happen in society or as we go through our day to day that we just ignore. And then kind of when you go through those hardships, I think we start to tune into them a little bit more.
Absolutely. Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah. You just kind of immerse yourself into those moments, and they happen. You're like,
well, I think it's because it's a shock or something, or like, it kind of like, I don't know if it kickstarts something or if it just lets us slow down a little bit maybe, or like, focus on our surroundings and how we feel a bit more. But it's like, that's when you kind of start to notice those things.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. Agreed.
So living life full of good days is, what Stoke Hunters is all about. How would you define a good day for yourself? And how does the foundation work to create more like good days for others?
Totally. Yeah, just embracing it, it's and sometimes it can be like an unexpected good day. You know what I mean? It's sometimes it's planned out, but it doesn't need to be, right? I find like even just kind of going with the flow and just kind of accepting things as they progress throughout the day. But yeah, just being around good company and just enjoying those moments together, and just being in the moment too, right? Like, mm-hmm. I'm a pretty heady person, and it's kind of hard for me to be in the moment a lot of the time. And that's why I think I'm just so passionate about sports in general. It's because when I'm, doing that activity or, performing, it's you're there, like you're there, you have to be there. Right. And yeah, that's kind of like, we radiate to the kids too, is just, the whole aspect of living in the moment and really embracing it, and sharing that experience with friends, and just cherishing those times. Right. Yeah. We spend enough time just, hanging around and being on our phones and all that kind of stuff. So I just try to inspire, our youth to get out there and to, adventure, and to just, and to go for it, to give her, it's like, if you want to do something, then, think about it and make a plan and you know, be as safe as you can, but ever go for it. You
Well,
know?
and I think, I don't know where we pick it up, but the one thing that I've noticed is, you know, people don't think they're capable of some things a lot of the time. They're like, oh, I can't, you know, start this foundation, or I can't start this company, or I can't do this. And it's like, you know, how I always point it is, it's like, you know, Jeff Bezos didn't just open up Amazon. It became a $3 billion or like a $1 billion company. You know, Connor McDavid didn't just pick up a hockey stick and, you know, become the best hockey player in the NHL, or, you know, like
Yeah,
that just doesn't happen.
exactly.
I think people get in their heads sometimes and don't give her enough. And it's like, no, go try something, go be embarrassing. And then that's how you get better.
Absolutely. Absolutely, man. I mean, I'm no different, man. Like when I was, you know, last summer, this whole past year was like very difficult for me. You know, there was a lot of voices in my head saying, you can't do this. You know, you know, is this going to work? Are you going to be able to make a living? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, are you sure? Like, you know, you're gonna just leave your comfortable job where you know you can, you know, live comfortably and it's kind of easy for you, and you know you have this steady income and it kind of all these voices, and a lot of the time negative voices, most of the time just saying you can't do this, like just give up, quit.
Yeah.
The easiest thing to do in life is just quit, just
Yeah.
you know. But then there's that other spark, that soul that comes in and says, no, you know, this is why, you know, this is why you're thinking about this is why you're doing this. This is what's gonna make you fulfilled. This gives purpose. This is, you know, what you want to you know, just promote, and like what you want to give to the world, and this is like what you believe in. You know, it's just, yeah, it's not easy. You know, it's not easy, and but you know, you keep pushing through, and then you eventually, you know, reap the benefits and feel it and experience it. You're like, fuck, I'm glad I did that. This is awesome. You know,
Well,
let's keep going.
I think it's easier to do it than it is to turn 65 and be like, just have that regret of not doing it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That was the biggest thing for me. It was like, if I don't do this, this is going to be the biggest regret. And I just know that, you know,
Yeah.
every day, you can't do this. You're going to fail. This is ridiculous. What are you doing? Blah, 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 blah. You're not going to get in. People aren't going to sign up. All this crap. And it's like, no, this is what we're doing. So
Yeah.
let's go.
Man, I should have wrote down the one thing I had, because I was like, oh, that is exactly what we're talking about right now. But the thing that I did write down is because, like, you know, people always think like, oh, what if I fail? What if I can't do it? What if no one signs up? You know, the thing I like to say is like, why don't you start changing that language around? What if you succeed? What if you have so much signups that you don't know what to do? What if you, like, you know, you help someone follow their passion, and then that person becomes, like, you know, you just started this ski thing, but like maybe in 6 years, this kid's spinning, you know, in 6 more years, we're probably going to be on 4,800. So, you know, spins the first 4,800 at the X Games.
Exactly, man. The moments that, you know, I've experienced this season with my athletes and, you know, my fellow coaches and our partners and everything like that. I mean, you know, just, you know, to the core, man. It's like, you know, great memories and yeah, you know, when you see these kids' faces at the end of a competition run, and their yells of excitement and just Stoke and just everything. It's like, this is why we're doing this. Yeah.
Well, and I, when you said, it came back to me, but like, what if no one signs up? The thing that I always like to say now to people who are like, what if I want to start this company, but no one buys it? Or, what if no one wants to support it? Kind of how I've said is like, the world is 8 billion people. As much as I like to think I'm like the one and only, there's probably 1% of the world who is very similar to me. So I like to say, like, find you, because like, if you have, especially with how connected we are in society with like social media and this, like, go out, figure out what you are, what you like, and just find you. Like,
Yeah.
1% of the world is still 80 million people. Like,
Mm-hmm.
that's a lot of that's a lot of signups. That's a lot of customers. That's a lot of whatever. So it's like, people always think I need to have like this massive amount of people. And it's like, well, no, if you just focus on you, who you already know how to sell to, because you know what you like, what, like, this is, you hate this problem, like, just go find them and start small. Like, you find one person to sign up. Well, if they enjoyed it, they're probably going to tell a friend. Then they have two. Then, you have, all of a sudden they find two more friends. That's four. And like, it's kind of like how, they tell us to invest or like save money when we were like 16, because if you invest $1, it just compounds annually for a lot longer. It's like, yeah, just find you and let it compound.
Absolutely. Find you, and don't forget to ask for help too, right? There's a lot of people out there, and I express this to the kids too. And I say, like, you can't do this on your own, ask for help. Like, I got so many friends and connections out there. If I didn't ask for help, like this, none of this would have happened. And it's just being vulnerable and just like, it's life is tough enough as it is, but people are out there and they want to help you, man. They want to help you, and it's like, yeah, just do it. Reach out, right? It's yeah.
Well, and if you find the one person, because like there's always that one person who never wants to help for some reason, and I don't get that, just go ask the next person, and go ask two people, because I guarantee you those next two people will help you way more than that one person who denied you.
Totally, man. Don't give up. Don't give up. Choose to give her.
Yeah.
Choose to give her. Don't give up. I'm planning an event right now, our big end of season fundraiser, Give Her Gala at Gabriella's. Yeah. And just one little thing, I'm trying to find a photographer to take our red carpet arrival photos, and I've asked, 4 people, they can't do it, but the 5th person, she's stoked to do it, and it's just like, just keep asking, keep pushing, just keep moving forward. And it's like, yeah.
Well, it's funny you say that, because I read an email the other day about a podcast, and it was like this billionaire entrepreneur, and he said he got, like, it was like the same podcast sometimes, like same questions, same list. Where did you come from? Where did you do it? But the really interesting question that came out of it, that the guy wrote this email on, was when he got asked, what's the difference between you / billionaires versus like other people? And he's like, we just do it. Like, he's like, by the time one person has done their idea, I've done 15. Yeah. Or like, they haven't even started their idea. He's like, I've done 15 of them. I failed on 14, but I'm still ahead of that person.
Exactly.
So, yeah, just give her, turn the spray hose on full blast. Like, go do everything you can, do it fast. We're going to fail often, but the more you fail, the more you succeed.
Absolutely. Just do it. Just start,
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, I say that to my team too. It's like, kids, there's a difference between saying you're going to do something and actually doing it. You know,
Mhm.
you can talk all day long and get hyped and get, get motivated to do whatever you're talking about. There's a difference. There's a difference between talking about it and really putting it yourself into action and doing it, creating it.
But I think people get scared of, like, when they go to do something, they want to do it all at once, and then it just feels like this daunting task, or daunting skill, or daunting whichever.
Yeah.
Have you read the book Atomic Habits?
No, I haven't.
So it's a book that talks about like these little habits of what makes you. And one of the cool things is he talks about being 1% better. So like 1% of anything is like nothing. It's like, if you're getting into a ski race, it's like, okay, if your ski race was on September, it's like, well, you don't have, or like, well, September doesn't work. Let's say mountain biking, because, it's in September, we're coming up now, and you're like, oh, I have to do all this stuff. And it's like, well, okay, maybe you do your tires, like, just do this one little thing each day and get towards it. So you can get it, rather than trying to get your whole bike and get everything today. Just slowly work on it. Because if you're 1% better every day, in 1 year, you're 37 times better than what you were when you first started.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's never easy too, right? Like, I mean, I just go back to, like, we say do it, and do it. But there's a lot of times in my own life that I have to really remind myself and to give, like, purpose of why I'm doing it and meaning behind it, and to really convince myself to be like, okay, Ryan, we're going to do it. Like, it's a lot of the time is never just like, okay, let's do it. It's done. It's like, sometimes it's a process, right? It's a process. It takes some time to initiate that, right?
Yeah. And kind of as we're getting to the end of the podcast, what message would you want to leave with our listeners, especially those inspired by Kenneth's story and the Foundation's work?
Oh, man.
Just give her.
yeah, absolutely, man. Just give her. I gotta remind myself to give her sometimes. You know what I mean? It's like, give her, man. Just do it. And it's like, I don't know. I love life. I love living, and I love it all, man. We just, we got one life. Maybe we got more. I don't know, but we don't
know that, though.
We don't know that. But one life. So live it up, like, like, really live it up, and do the things you love, like everything I've been talking about, but just live it up, and just, share your energy with those around you, and just embrace it, right? I try to do this every day. It's just, all right, like, what's the next best thing? What are we doing next? So live it up, man. Give her, like, experience it all. Yeah.
I'm just going to pause my camera because it feels like my Wi-Fi is not the greatest anymore. But what question would you like to ask next week's guest?
Oh, what question am I going to ask next week's guest? Oh, that's a good one, bud. Let's see. Random. What next week's guest? Let's ask them. What are they most looking forward to in the near future? I think it's good, man.
What are they most looking forward to in the
What
future?
are you most looking
I think I know this one.
In the future, right?
I think I know this one because it's actually kind of cool. We have a family from Big White who they all moved out there, and now they're like skiing all the time. And I bet you it's going to be he looks, and he was talking about this the other day, because now his follow cams, he can't follow his daughters on the boxes and stuff like that. So I think it's him watching his daughters continually to grow up in the snowboarding sport. But we'll see if that changes.
That's beautiful. I love that.
and kind of my last question, if people were having bad days, or just kind of feeling out of the funk, and you could speak one-on-one with them right now, what advice would you give to them that are listening?
Yeah. Well, I would just say, talk to me, just talk to me, whatever they have to say, relate to them. Some people think that I don't have bad days, man. I got bad days all the time. It's just like, me and my buddy talk about it. We kind of feel like a lot of the days we're just kind of rolling. We're just kind of gliding along, and then boom, we have an amazing day together, an awesome ski day, or just like, something unreal, and we're like, oh, whoa, that was insane. So I would just say, lay it out on me. What's going on? Let's have a conversation. It's open up, right? It's speak out. So
yeah,
it's as basic as that, right? Yeah.
It sounds simple, and it's like, it's kind of until you start trying it that you don't realize like how kind of simple or easier it is to get through bad days once you've experienced them.
Totally.
And talking about it to someone, or talking about even if you don't have anyone to talk about it, well, like writing it down and starting to go through it, it doesn't seem as bad usually once you start trying to feel it a little bit. And like I said, it's the 1%. We didn't get to having multiple bad days in a row, or always having bad days immediately off the bat. It's like, it kind of is like that trickle effect. So it's like we kind of just have to turn that direction a little bit. So even doing 1% today, then tomorrow it's, you do another 1%, and then it's 98%, and then you do another 1%, and it slowly builds upon each other.
And you're always going to have bad days. We're going to have good days. We're going to have bad days. That's life. Every day shouldn't be a good day. It's just, it makes those good days extra special when you can fight through those bad days and get through that emotion, through that suffering, right?
Yeah.
It's
yeah, once you start looking at it, and once you start piecing it together, you can I think find, like, not every day can be good, but you can find good in every day.
Absolutely.
And it's like, the easiest way to it, it's like, if we don't have bad, you wouldn't have anything to measure what good is.
Yeah, totally.
Right. It's that flow, and it's that balance, and it's the everything that there's meant to be. Like, there's there's light and there's dark. We wouldn't know what a sunrise would look like if we didn't know what darkness was.
Absolutely. It's just the reality of life, and living on this beautiful planet, and experiencing. That's it.
Yeah. Thank you again for joining us, Ryan, and talking about the foundation, and talking about good days.
Absolutely, Jared. I appreciate it, man. And it's been a pleasure. Getting to know you, and let's continue chatting. And stoked to join you. Thanks so much.
And for our listeners, thank you again for joining us on Stoke Hunters, where we hunt the good days and figure out how to have more of them and live through them. For those who want to find out more about the Giver Foundation and Ryan, you can go to teamgiver.ca, or follow them on Instagram under Team Giver, or follow Ryan at Ryan Giver on Instagram.
You.